She's definitely a clever girl, but is she accurate enough? No, she isn't. Today we are going to build a Velociraptor habitat, like an actual Velociraptor habitat. We are building this in Prehistoric Kindgom, but with a little twist. The habitat was made for the actual Jurassic version of the Velociraptor, but over the years turned into an actual representation of the Velociraptor, how it would have been. Now, let's see how that goes. And thank you for still sticking with me at this point in the video. So here we are, Rudy speaking, and we are going to talk about today's build in Prehistoric Kindgom in my Jurassic Park 30 build. For those of you who don't know, here's a little background before we go into the actual build. This is a park which is meant to be one for the celebration of 30 years of Jurassic Park, the original movie. And my approach was to build a realistic park, how it would have been if the park survived, or to put it in better words, if the park would have been rebuilt after the events of Jurassic Park 1993. So this is also why the animals would have gotten more realistic, and so it goes a bit more in line with the style of Prehistoric Kindgom, which is a lot more scientifically accurate compared to, you know, Jurassic World Evolution, for example. And I'm very happy with how this habitat, for example, turned out. You know, the thing is that I have a specific storyline in here. You will see that the fences partially will be way too heavy for the animals in here. They will be way too strong and just, you know, following the actual security guidelines of the first movie, I would say. And since the Velociraptor never really had a habitat, I had to find a way to kind of bring this all together. So the idea behind this whole thing is that we are finishing off the habitat that Jurassic Park and Hammond have envisioned at the beginning. So it obviously had a lot more security than you would need for the actual depiction of the Velociraptor, which in fact is a completely different dinosaur from what Hammond and the team has believed. And the fun fact is that I don't know how much you guys are into it. I suppose most of you are very into it, but you know that the belief that the Velociraptor was bigger was also from a false belief that some bones that were found and so on were, well, actually from a Velociraptor, but then again they were from the Eth Raptor, how it was found out later. It's not like 100% sure how exactly it went, if it was really down to them having the wrong info, or if they just did a, you know, cinematic kind of creative decision to say, you know what, we still go with the big one, because obviously the Velociraptor as it is in the movie needs a certain size and strength to be that kind of dramatic beast that it is in the movie. So scaling it down and making it a feathery little, you know, chicken wouldn't have really helped the film and the whole storyline, and rebranding it into the Eth Raptor potentially wouldn't have worked. But here, before we talk about the habitat a bit more, here's a little twist, at least in my perception. I'm not really sure if they would have gotten into a storyline with the Eth Raptor, and they would have shaped the Eth Raptor the same way they have done with the Velociraptor, I'm not entirely sure if it would have made too much of a difference, because in pop culture, the Velociraptor has the image that it has right now, mainly due to this movie, mainly due to the first two movies. And I'm wondering what has happened, or what would have happened to the pop culture if it was the Eth Raptor from the beginning. Maybe we would be speaking the exact same way about the Eth Raptor nowadays compared to the Velociraptor. So it's basically just a brand image that has been created over the years. And I find this very interesting because obviously we are speaking about the Velociraptor now in a completely different context compared to what it actually is. Now, and this is the fun part over here. I thought about making this into a Eth Raptor habitat at some point, but since we don't have the Eth Raptor in this game as of now, it wouldn't have made too much sense. And the only big difference with a Eth Raptor in comparison is that you would have a feathery version, but the size is almost pretty accurate to the one that they had in Jurassic Park. Now, one must add that they still believe they were building on the Velociraptor, at least as of you know, intelligence and pack hunting and stuff like that. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure if the Eth Raptor would be exactly the same. But I thought that's a fun story to go into. And then also it's a fun story to, you know, build upon. And this is also why the habitat is a little bigger than what you would technically need for this wonderful little animal we have over here. So I'm very happy to bring this whole habitat to you guys, because now we are building what really matters. This is where the original Jurassic Park trivia really meets with our trivia of our park over here. So what I'm building right now is the old Raptor Pen that we all know and love from the first movie. It is obviously a slightly adapted version that would have been this one around which they would have built the habitat, and everything around is slightly different. And it's also not the perfect location because we are very much to a mountain side over here. I did intentionally choose this location in our park, which I'm going to show you a bit nicer later on in the real-time part, where we are actually located. I mainly choose this location because we are in a area where the mountain helps us to get a bit more security to the back side, you know. And so maybe they would have just taken the building, this Raptor Pen, and moved this somewhere else, or built a second version of it somewhere else where the actual habitat attraction should have been. And this is also why there is no real viewing opportunity for the guests at the beginning for the tour. But I will include the tour, as you will see later in today's video. The tour is actually included in a different way, and we will have a new viewing gallery. But there is nothing really up close for them, because as said, this is a habitat that was meant for the monsters, you know, for the big monsters that would have easily killed people. And hence we have this awfully crazy fence design over here. And, you know, I just wanted to bring that in. I just wanted to make sure that this is going to be the central element of this habitat, because we are still at the end of the day speaking about our pop cultural fan favorite, the Velociraptor, and we're not talking about a little birdie bird. And here's another twist, just something to think about for you, okay? Just something to make your mind work. And also you have to, if you're still listening to my voice and watching what is going on stream, make sure to put a comment down what your basic memory of the Velociraptor is, or how you think about the Velociraptor as an animal. Because I think another very nice plot twist is, if you think about Planet Zoo, for example. Take Planet Zoo, for example, where we get all these DLCs, you know, every now and then we get a DLC with a couple of new animals. And then think about this like so. Normally, we look at animals how we grew up. So I wasn't too happy about a European set, because most of these animals I've already seen a bajillion times in my life. But I'm obviously a lot more into South America and stuff like that, because these packs have animals in them that people over there have seen already many, many times. So maybe people from South America are not as excited about these animals as I am, and vice versa. So it's always a point of view, okay? But now about these animals, the Velociraptor, we are speaking more or less about the same point of view, because we all have never seen a Velociraptor. Neither have we had the chance to, and potentially will never have the chance to. And so we have the same, we share it, okay? The whole world shares the same point of view from where we are looking at this animal, because in fact it's an animal. And now if you put this into perspective, how the Velociraptor would have been in the roster of animals to the time where it lived, who knows if it was an exciting animal after all. Maybe at this time it was basically a chicken. Don't get me wrong, maybe a very exciting and a clever chicken, but also pigs are believed to be very clever. And pigs are not necessarily the most exciting animals of all time. I mean, there are people who love pigs, but there are also people who love other animals that many others don't. So what I'm saying is, the sole reason why the Velociraptor may actually be famous is the wrong, or maybe the scientifically wrong, depiction in Jurassic Park. This is the only reason why it may have become a super cool tiger compared to a very boring pig. So, you know, every animal should be the same, but I think we can all not take away that some other animals are more exciting than others. It's just pure facts. However, and I just found this so interesting, think about this way. This obviously is true for all of the dead animals, for all the extinct animals. We never really know how exactly they were. I mean, we know it a little bit better with like the saber-toothed tiger or with the mammoth, for example. Well, we do really not know this with all the other dinosaurs. I mean, the sheer size of, for example, the Diplodocus or a Brachiosaurus, obviously these are insane, and whatever they have looked like, it is just amazing. Even if they would have looked like an even bigger giraffe, that would have been just insane. But now I leave you alone a little bit with the music and the speed build, and we'll talk more about this in a couple of minutes. All right, here I am back with you, and I'm very curious to see later on the YouTube video how much of a difference it is when I have a voiceover or just the music. I actually searched for some really nice and wonderful music for you guys to enjoy this. Like, it's a tiny bit of Jurassic movie theme, but then also inspired by some more classical music. Now we are going to build the bridge, and the bridge is rather important to something I have said at the beginning. This is part of the original tour. It is meant to be part of the original tour, and my idea of it is that there is a bridge going over this habitat, and in the center of the bridge there is this round platform on which the vehicles usually would have, stopped to one side maybe, or even could have gone in a circle and then go back on the route. I still believe it's so cool to say that in the first Jurassic Park they were talking about electric vehicles and, making no noise and stuff like that. I think it's very forward thinking how they were already envisioning an electric vehicle on this rail that provides energy for them. So it would have been a very quiet and resource friendly realization of this. And so my idea was to say, okay, in the future maybe they would have exchanged this with actual electric vehicles rather than some that have been fed by the rails, but you never know. So I still put a rather big fence on. This is our general fence design I've been using throughout the series. It's a very good one, but super piece heavy, so I won't use it too much more in the future. I guess I need to come up with a different design that is not as resource heavy as this one, because it will destroy the FPS at some point. But I'm still liking this platform a lot, because it'll grant a very good view to the old habitat, but it also gives a good view to the new habitat. And so this is the idea, that this is the exact point where they would have made the breakthrough into a new area for the actual velociraptors. And over time, and you never know what they would have done with all this space in the past, so maybe there was already like a hunting ground for the old ones, and the new ones get some more space now. Like, there are a lot of ways how we could interpret what has been going on in the past. So I'm still very happy with how this turned out. I'm very happy with this overall design of the habitat, very happy with the idea behind this, and I can't say how much of a blast it was to build it. And also funny, we are now going towards the last couple of minutes of this time lapse, and it took me 18 minutes to this point with all the build, and it will only take me another 2.5 minutes to finish off the habitat with all its beauty. And it's kind of crazy to say, because it's just like, it's less than 10% of the video, and it still is all the foliage work I did. And this is all thanks to the wonderful brush tool in this game. If there's one single thing I want to take from this game into Planet Zoo, it is, funnily enough, not the scaling option. It is actually the foliage brush first. If I must decide, I would go for the foliage brush. I can't tell how much of a blast it is to use it, because it makes building a habitat, and also it looks so much more natural, because there is already a factor calculated into it of randomization in size and in variation of the plant, and you then can also change from density and size. It just makes so much sense to do this with a natural environment, and you can cover areas so quickly. You can make things look really exactly the way you wanted them. It's automatically looking so much more realistic and natural. Yes, you can do the same in Planet Zoo 2 if you put every single tree down yourself, make yourself some templates, but in terms of building in a game like this, in a zoo game, this is the one feature I'm missing the most. This is the one feature, whenever I come back to Prehistoric Kindgom, this is the one feature that makes me realize how much of a difference it makes to have this option. As you can see over here, look how quickly this habitat comes together. And I'm also sure that they have done a very good job by now in making these plants resource not as resource heavy anymore. Like, they look very good. They have a very weird LOD, so the more zooming out, they will basically disappear, but to a degree where it's still okay and visually pleasing. So I am very positively surprised of my last 2 builds in this game, and obviously it's still a mountain to climb for the team, but the base foundation is rather ridiculous, and I mean this in the most positive possible way. There are a lot of things already to love about the game. Just as the tools, they function very well. The overall amount of pieces is not as crazy as with Planet Zoo, for example, or Planet Coaster even in the early stages. However, due to its flexibility with changing textures on the fly and having scaling option, there is almost already an endless opportunity of building stuff. And then the fact that guests can roam around freely in your park and use scenery options as bridges and stuff obviously is an icing on the cake. But now let's have a look how this actually looks in game. There we go. This is the habitat in all its beauty, and as you can tell, this is already the new part with a couple of things I have already changed between finishing the recording and going into the file. But look at this. I mean, this is how I was talking about. Look at how lush and crazy it looks. And yes, the quality of the plants is maybe not as great as, for example, in Planet Zoo, but overall, if you look from a distance, and this is mostly how you look at it, it looks super lush and nice. And as soon as we start flying through here, you can tell how nice it looks. Let's see if we can find a little Velociraptor. There's one. There you go. One of these tiny little creatures. Look at that one, just roaming around. Hello, my friend. Let's pause the game. Oh, wait. Actually, let's wait until it's going into the... Oh, it's just lying down. Okay. Here you go. Look at that one. Really love the design. I really love the design of this little one. It just kind of still looks a little bit, you know, angry and evil in a way, but not as bad as it could be. It's like an evil turkey. I think this is really how it is. But yeah, the design, I really like it. But as you can see, it's super big. Like the habitat is really, really big for them. There's another one. Let's see if we can spot this in sunlight. There you go. Oh boy, look at that. I love the feathery skin here, and just like really nicely done. Yeah. I do believe they can still work on the shaders a little. I do like how they look, but I still believe they can still work a little bit on the shaders, even though it's already looking pretty good. These look a little bit too static to me. There's a bit of potential to improve here, but you know, this is like already complaining on a very high level. Very cool that we have swimming now. This one is swimming, or maybe it's also because of the feathers are wet. And then this is the old part of the habitat. There you can see this is the oh, look at that, it's vocalizing. I like that. It's a very cool animation. We missed it. But this is the old pen. This is the Raptor Pen, as you can see. And there is, if you go to the back, there's the old gate. It's all hidden behind the bamboo. It's a little bit overgrown, but there is still the gate in which they can enter this area. There's like a little bit of food for them here to grab. Not sure if they're vegetarian though. They're not, pretty much. And there is something for them to sleep. We have like a little water tap in here. Hidden these ugly things we do not want to see in the main habitat. But this is the old part, and you can tell it's a lot more like you would see that from Jurassic, you know, with like this water feature over here, and then kind of a little bit of forest for them to hide, but an awfully crazy big fence. This is the big old part. And then if you turn around, this opens up into the new part. Like I left a couple of these big walls in. I don't know if that may have been something they had in the past already envisioned for something bigger, but then they didn't, and it just all came together like as a more natural part. And we just have like a normal fence going around. That's enough for them to be kept in. And then we have like another viewing opportunity here for our guests. They can go over here and have a look. Oops, what the heck did happen to this thing? Oopsie. I could just easily, oops, wait a sec. I'm just gonna quickly do this. Let's just go in, and why is it so weirdly rotated? There you go. Let's just fix that. But honestly, we could also like make like a glass fence over here. We don't really need that much security anymore. So I may actually swap out the fence in the future, because that is just not really how it should be. And I will also give the guests something to sit on. So some benches and stuff that we can have here. So we can put them... Oops, where's that one? Why is it... Is that just a... Oh, there you go. It's a little bit bigger. There you go. We can actually rotate this a little so they can sit on these things. Just make that a little bit more nice looking. Here you go. And hide the interface. But yeah, this is the entrance to this area, by the way. We have this wonderful gate. The car is just for reference, and then you go into this area. This is a Velociraptor area. Now, as I've said in the past, this is a double security layer. So we've got one here, and the other security layer is here. Obviously, don't take the mountain into account at this point. There would also be additional security layers there. But just for the overview, this is our visitor center. There is the Velociraptor Pen, this is the Spino Lake, and we are going to make, the next thing is going to be our big herbivore habitat in here, where we'll have the stegos, the brachios, and so on and so forth. That's going to be very fun to do, because I want to make this classical 3-tree line scene and stuff. And by the way, if you haven't followed this series from the beginning, these mountain shapes are all done by hand, okay? They are not in this map. I made them myself. This is my own terraforming in here. I still believe it looks quite believable, so really happy about this one, and the whole map is coming together nicely for our Jurassic Park build. I will go on building this. I have a lot of fun doing this, so can't wait for seeing more what's going on in the future, and which animals we are adding is also down to you guys. Just to give you an idea, these animals are in store for us. As you can tell over here, we've got a couple of animals. We could do something for the Dinosaurs. We could obviously do the Tyrannosaurus. We haven't done this yet, but as you can imagine, this will be very exciting. We've got the Brachio, Argentinosaurus, Camarasaurus, and then we also have some other animals, like the Triceratops, like the Stegosaurus. I mean, we don't have a Stego, do we? I think we don't have a Stego at this point. Ow, that would be a very nice addition in the future too. Oops, where are all the animals gone? Okay, wait, I have to open that again. That's a little bug. But yeah, we also have, as I said, these are all the dinosaurs you may already know. And down here we have the Smilodon, we've got the Mammoth, we've got the Colondonta, which I don't know how to pronounce, and we also have the Paraceratherium animal thingy. Jeez, I'm so bad at pronouncing these names. But yeah, this is the roster. We also have the Parasaurolophus, and some other cool dinosaurs we could put in. Yeah, very, very, very much looking forward to putting these animals in as well. You may give me some comments down below what we should do next. And I'm also very thankful that the Spino Lake was so mega so successful on the channel, so very much looking forward to bringing this more to you guys. And if you feel inspired by this build, and if you want to see more, I have a tutorial for you, which is not a full series at this point, and I also have the beginning of the series, which I highly recommend watching if you haven't. So I'm gonna put the beginning of the series to the top right, so you can either rewatch or watch it. So see you there.